Let's pick up scene 5 of Act 1, where Romeo and Juliet meet for the first time. When they meet, it's in the middle of the dance floor. They're dancing, they're doing kind of a traditional dance where they're touching hands, and immediately Romeo goes in and grabs Juliet's hand. If I profane with my unworthiest hand this holy shrine, the gentle sin is this: my lips, two blushing pilgrims, ready to stand, too smooth that rough touch with a tender kiss. And Juliet's response, naturally, is, good pilgrim, you do wrong your hand too much. Which manner of devotion shows in this, for saints have hands that pilgrims' hands do touch, and palm to palm is holy palmer's kiss. So basically, what Romeo's done here is he's come up and he's grabbed her hand. He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. Was that too forward? Should I have not grabbed your hand? Was that too rough? Was that too rough a touch that I can make that up with my lips? My lips can smooth out that rough touch with a kiss," which is kind of a little much for someone to just go up to someone they've never met before, grab their hand. I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Was that too forward? I can make that up with a kiss." And Juliet's response is, "Oh, you do wrong your hand too much. Meaning, like you don't give your hands enough credit. This was good. The hands are fine." And he compares himself to a pilgrim and her like to a saint that you have to visit, and how pilgrims go visit saints with they touch the statues with their hands, and now the hands are becoming lips, and they're praying and they're touching. And uh, here we're just talking about lips they must use in prayer. Dear saint, let lips do what hands do, which if hands are touching, the lips are gonna right. And so she goes in, or he goes in, and he kisses her right then and there. They have known each other for about a minute, and he gets his first kiss. And if you notice, I highlighted some of these in color. They're talking in rhyme. We saw Romeo talking in rhyme we saw before, and now it's a playful rhyme. They're going back and forth. This is what we call a sonnet. You can look it up. It's 14 lines long, rhyming every other line. It's 10 syllables per line. And this is intentional. But anyways, he kisses her and says, from my lips by dying, my sin is purged. Which means I've gotten these sins off my lips and I've given them to you. And she's like, whoa. Then have the lips the sin that they have took. So like my lips have the sin, I took your sin away. He's like, hold on, let me get that sin back. And he gets another kiss. And it's kind of intense. And she tells him, and I'll let you decide what this means. You kiss by the book, which means one of two things. Either you know how to kiss, good for you, like you are like an expert kisser, or she's saying you kiss like you learned how to kiss from a book, which would be a little critical. So you can read into that however you want. If you're more romantic, you probably want to think that she thinks he's really good at it. If you like a little comedy with your romance, she's kind of dissing him. You can interpret it however you want. But either way, we did see the first 14 lines of Romeo and Juliet's conversation is a full-on sonnet. So go ahead. I want you to do this. He does this intentionally. Shakespeare does this absolutely intentional. The audience recognizes it. Everybody knows what's going on. But why do you think? He's got some magical words here. Why do you think? Meaning, if you give me an educated answer, probably okay. Shakespeare chose to have them talk in poetic verse. Why would he do that? What's the benefit of that? What are we gaining from that? It's a little bit of a weird conversation, but he threw the verse in there. Why? Give me an answer. Do your best. And then right after they kiss for the second time, within the first like 2 minutes of meeting, the nurse comes in and she's a buzzkill. Your mom's looking for you. Because remember, Juliet's 13. She's out kissing boys at the party. And Romeo's like, whoa, her mom. Who's her mom? And the nurse said, well, Mary Bachelor, her mother is the lady of the house, and a good lady, and a wise and virtuous. I nursed her daughter that you talked withal. I tell you, he that can lay hold of her shall have the chinks. And the nurse moves away. And all of a sudden, Romeo goes, whoa, is she a Capulet? Oh, he realizes everything's falling apart. But look, it says aside. Aside means he's not talking to anybody. He's talking to himself, right? I talk aside all the time at home. My kids are like, "Can I go ride my bikes?" I'm like, "Yes, go." And then aside, anything to get you out of the house, right? We all talk in asides. And so Romeo talks asides because in a play, there's not a narrator. We want to hear what Romeo's thinking. He's got to have this little thing where he turns and he says something that's meant only for him to be heard, right? And so that's when the aside is. Look for that in the play. It's going to make a big difference if you know if they're talking to themselves or if they're talking to other people. All right, and so he finds out she's a Capulet. Juliet, we're going to skip forward a little bit here, and Juliet's talking to the nurse at the end because we're in the party, and she's like, "Nurse, who's that gentleman?" "I don't know." "Go ask his name." And she goes, "If he be married, my grave is like to be my wedding bed." So she doesn't, even though she's kissed him twice, she's worried that he's a married guy. And the nurse comes back. "His name is Romeo, and Montague, the only son of a great enemy. My only love, sprung from my only hate. Too early seen unknown, and known too late. Prodigious birth of love it is to me, that I must love a loathed enemy." So basically, what luck? Que lastima. How am I supposed to fall in love with someone that I'm supposed to hate? Of course, that's going to happen. All right, this is the end. That's where the scene ends. Everyone's leaving the party. They find out they're supposed to hate each other. End of Act 1. But let's take a step back. Remember, Juliet's 2 weeks short of her 14th birthday. Romeo's age is never really given, but we think he's about 15 or 16. Do you think, again, do you think they realize the gravity of the problems they could be starting with this romance? They obviously know their families hate each other. Is this obviously not the end? Because we know it'd be a dumb play if it just ended right now. Well, that's too bad, right? And so, what do you think? Do they understand the gravity and they're going to go for it anyways? Or they not really know, so they're going to try and make things work? What do you think is going to happen? A little bit of prediction here. All right. Thanks for putting up with this. I know this was long. I hope everyone's doing well. And if you have any questions, make sure you ask. Take care.